Hey, what's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League, and we are back in the studio at home 36 hours later. I am still awake and back from Ukraine. I left Ukraine at 2:30 a.m. Ukraine time, and it is right now 2:22 a.m. Ukraine time 2 days later. I've been up since 2 p.m. No, 1. I've been up for a while. I've been up for 36 hours. I'm tired. But before I pass out and have a little bit of a mini coma, I figured let's recap the WePlay Esports Invitational. Let's talk about NA. Let's talk about EMEA. Let's talk about the event. Let's have some fun with it. And talk about what went down, because there was a lot of really exciting things that we got to see out of our top 8 teams from North America and the EMEA region. What's up, everybody? Lawler here. Going to be talking about the WePlay Esports Invitational featuring Rocket League, $100,000. Going to talk about the format, what was on the line, who was playing, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go through EMEA first, because they were first on the broadcast. Then we'll go through North America. We're going to crush through it all back to back to back. We're going to get through all the steps of the tournament pretty quickly. I'm not going to break down every single individual series. I'll give you some of my favorites, as well as talk about some pretty awesome storylines that we saw develop. And that should keep this video hopefully at a decent length rather than like 40 minutes. So if you guys didn't watch, this past week was the WePlay Esports Invitational for Rocket League in Kiev, Ukraine. It was myself, F. Stacks, Supersonic, Digital Bacon, Tylacto, and Spaceman doing all the coverage in studio. So I was in Ukraine, as you guys know. It was super fun. A lot of really positive things to say about the WePlay Esports team. They absolutely crushed it, and they did all of that production graphic awesomeness with 3 weeks notice. That is it. They had 3 weeks to get all of that AR augmented reality stuff done, and they killed it. The tournament was split into 2 separate tournaments. The first half of the day was EMEA. The second half of the day was North America. 8 matches every single day except for the Sunday, Championship Sunday day. It was a double elimination bracket, $50,000 on the line. First place getting 15,000, 12,000, and then it keeps going down from there. And it started last week. Thursday was the first day. The previous day on Wednesday was our media day, where we did the rocket kicker stuff and the really cringe but also slightly hilarious intros for a lot of the segments, which was pretty cool. The 8 teams that played in the EMEA region were Team BDS, Team Vitality, Semper Esports, Vodafone Giants, Guild Esports, Carmine Corp, K Corp. I don't know how you guys want me to say it. I know it's French. Sandrock Gaming, and Dignitas. The teams were seeded and then reseeded due to complications, but I think it was done pretty fairly and gave us a lot of really exciting matches. We did get to see Sandrock Gaming play somebody else outside of Vitality, which was nice for a change. You got to see Guild Esports with the newly announced Bluey officially. Vodafone Giants, which is the former Team Queso roster. We got to see Shazette perform on Semper, or the former Top Blokes team, for the first time. You got Astro for the first time with Steak and Itachi, the former Vodafone Giants team, and Dignitas with Scrubkilla. There was a lot of expectations that we had for certain teams, especially the ones that were staying the same, and a lot of questions that we had in regards to certain teams, like how is Scrubkilla going to fit into Dignitas? You know, is Astro still going to do Astro-like things on Carmine Corp? What's going to happen? And this tournament lived up to the hype. I don't think there was ever a bad match. There was some that were kind of one-sided over in the North American region, if I'm being honest, but for the most part, EMEA was clutch. It peaked at 78,000 viewers concurrent, and that's taking into account a lot of the like the watch parties and stuff. But did really good for viewership and had an average viewership of just shy of, or just over 37.5 thousand. It's pretty good. Matches went as expected, I would say, earlier on, but a couple of surprises did come through. I will say Carmine Corp versus Semper, obviously the best match of the first day for EMEA, as it did go to 6, and Carmine Corp showed that they were going to continue to be very aggressive. Astral even mentioned in his interview, like, yo, I wasn't happy with how we were playing individually. We started working as a team, and they started looking extremely good. That was kind of the first hint of the team that was like, yeah, they're really talented, but how do they do against the former champs at Vitality? That'll answer some questions. Team BDS is still Team BDS and does really, really good things. They stomp out on Guild. 4-0, and Karman Corp takes Vitality in 5. Also really exciting. Then get to the upper bracket finals where Team BDS does beat Karman Corp 4-1. Probably one of the better series of the tournament. Showcased a lot of really exciting things about both rosters. In the lower bracket, Vodafone Giants, fast and aggressive playstyle. The good old Spanish Bim Bam ended up working pretty well against Sandrock Gaming, but this time Sandrock Gaming does get a couple wins. And then on the other side, we got to see more of Dignitas. We knew they played really, really close against Team Vitality in the upper bracket, even though it was 4-0. A lot of the games were in overtime. Dignitas continues to trend in a positive direction, and they looked actually incredible. Super clean pass plays and a lot of solo stuff, just a ton of pressure in general on offense. The one downfall is they were extremely reliant on Scrubkilla scoring. If Scrubkilla didn't have a big impact with scoring efficiency, I think he was shooting like 30-ish% going into the final days. If that drops off, they would start to lose. So something for them to consider. Dignitas does go through Semper in the lower and through Guild. Guild went from doing this really good defensive playstyle against Vodafone Giants that worked extremely well to just being overwhelmed and they couldn't do anything about it against Dignitas. Dignitas really, really took advantage of them. Vitality, after losing Carbine Corp, then dropped down to the lower bracket, and Team Vitality, being the better all-around team, wins that one pretty convincingly 4-2. Lower bracket semifinals. This is when all the matches were like, heck yeah, I don't care what we're watching. These are all going to be amazing. Dignitas Vitality, and Dignitas surprised. Usually Vitality does a really good job of dictating the pace of the field. They are the ones that control how offense persists with non-stop rotational play, a lot of cutting of rotations in the midfield, even though that's just kind of a half rotation. It's not really a cutting of rotation, if I want to clarify myself. If they had at least 12 to 24 boosts, they were going to go for the ball again. Put on a ton of pressure, but Dignitas just, man. I'm not trying to get into too many specifics of series, but I will say Team Vitality versus Dignitas, 4 overtimes. Go watch it. It's one of the better series of all weekend. It was so good watching Dignitas play like that. They then move on, and Dignitas plays Carmine Corp, and it then goes to 7. Losers final is actually cracked. Was not sure who was going to win the entire time. I said numerous times on the desk while we were there that I stopped being an analyst on the stream. I started becoming a fan of the game. I got to just sit back in the green room and enjoy professional Rocket League levels at the highest we've seen in a very long time. It was just so rewarding to sit and enjoy the series. This is the best 7 in the lower final, 3 overtimes, a lot of 1-goal games, back and forth affair for sure. And Dignitas taking it almost until Carmine Corp does some pretty insane things to close it out in that very last game. So Carmine Corp, by 1 game in overtime, ends up progressing forward. They are going to be running it back against Team BDS. Now, I know there was a lot of controversy about this situation. Normally in a double elimination bracket, you give an advantage to the upper bracket team. You're a team that has won and has yet to lose. Therefore, most people would give you an advantage in double elimination. This is part of the reason why I hate double elimination. When you have a team with an advantage going into the grand finals, when you could just do group stages into a single elimination bracket, and then this argument doesn't matter. It's not a thing that happens. But the thing to take into consideration is for any team, player, etc. that signed up for this tournament, you should have known from day one, the best to set was a clean slate. If you made it to the grand finals, doesn't matter if you came from the upper or the lower, it's even for both teams. And that's fair. I think that's 100% fair. It's something a little bit different, and it's something that you should make yourself aware of. This isn't the first time we've seen professional players get upset about format stuff, even though they had the rules and could have known what the format was before time. Either way, BDS does start the first series quite strong. And I told everybody in the green room, I'm like, yo, Carmine Corp's coming off of a warm-up. It's going to take BDS a couple games to get back into it. And that's exactly what happened. Game 3 rolls around and they win 4 in a row, close it out 4-2 in the Spaceman sweep, as it's been deemed. After that, then Carmine Corp goes on a tear, dude. 4-1, 4-2, 2 more overtimes, but they just kept scoring. Anytime BDS had something, Carmine Corp had an answer. Carmine Corp. KC. I'm going to call him KC, otherwise I'm going to keep pissing people off. Or K-Corp. Either way, KC always had a response to what BDS was doing, which was crazy to see. It was the first time, and normally one of the best things about BDS is they always remain grounded. They always seem to just be relaxed. They seem unfazed by what's going on the field. And you could see visible frustration on many of the players on that roster and it started to slip away. After a certain point, it just became relentless, and they couldn't take it anymore. So KC, your EMEA winners, looking incredible. This is their first tournament together as a team, and they look amazing. So a new top dog possibly in EU. We'll have to see if it happens again, but you're looking at your top 3, top 4, possibly top 5 teams in EU looking pretty nasty. In the second half of the day, so we finished 4 matches a day for EMEA, and then immediately after, take a little bit of a break, reset, and then we come back for North America. So we're going to be covering North America now. The 8 teams: General Energy, Envy, Space Station Gaming, Rogue, G2, FaZe Clan, Shopify Rebellion, and the Sonics. A lot of those teams stay in the exact same, except for Rogue and FaZe, where they did a reverse Uno card where Gyro went to Rogue, and then First Killer went to FaZe. Drees is official now with G2, no longer just filling in for Rizzo. Shopify Rebellion staying the exact same, and then the Sonics are rebuilding around TKRL alongside Andy and ZPS, which was a really fun dynamic to watch them start out with. Unlike EMEA, where things went as expected, North America decided to just roll a 1d20 and let it go crazy, and it was super exciting. You saw a first round upset where Shopify Rebellion won in 7 against Space Station Gaming. You saw FaZe Clan, who is playing with Dapper because Illusion was on vacation, 4-0 Envy. Rogue didn't really show up. Rogue's got some things they definitely need to work on. And then it's Energy versus Sonics. Sonics, I think, looks like a better version of Rogue. It seems like they've got things solidified a little bit more. So your teams that would advance: Shopify Rebellion versus FaZe Clan, and G2 versus General Energy. And in that upper bracket match, you got Shopify Rebellion, who's looking honestly cracked. Beast Mode Rapid doing everything, and then if they don't, Memory's there to put it away. Memory getting involved, and then Beast Mode's there. Like, there's some really good synergy. We got the chance to interview their new coach, Hapsu, who's a neuroscientist that's focusing a lot on consistency and entering flow state, making sure mentality's in a really good spot. If Shopify keeps staying consistent and they don't drop off like they did last time after Fall Split, it's going to be a really dangerous team. They look incredible on offense, and they're extremely frustrating to play against. A lot of rosters giving them credit, and kudos for the way that they play offense. So exciting stuff. I talk all about their offense, but their defense, just like KC, also impeccable. Just so good. But FaZe Clan, even with Dapper, takes them to 7. There's an overtime in there. Shopify Rebellion goes to the upper bracket final. In the other upper bracket semifinal, a classic between Energy and G2. At this point, Energy, to me, is just the better team because they've been together now officially for a year. We interviewed Garrett, and he talked about this is technically their first true offseason, because last offseason was when they brought in Squishy and they just won everything. So trying to catch a vibe and see how things are going to adjust to that. But Justin went off in this game. Justin hard carried like the good old days. It was actually pretty cracked. It's not to say Squishy and Garrett didn't also have pretty solid games, but in the overall like player standings, I think Justin was the number 1 player overall and was ahead in statistics by like 5 or 6 rating points. And then Squishy and Garrett were like 17, 18th. Like, it was such a massive gap. It was crazy, even with a bad series that comes up after this. But yeah, Justin played really, really well in that series. He just kind of took matters into his own hands and did Justin things, which is really exciting. Upper bracket final, Shopify Rebellion versus Energy. A lot of us are like, yeah, it's Energy. They'll find a way to slow down this offense. They've got a thing going on. And they didn't. Shopify Rebellion kept doing their thing. They kept absolutely dominating the team. Energy does get game 2, 4-1. But after that, it's just Shopify kept scoring, and there was nothing Energy could do. It was pretty crazy to me that they were able to stop Energy from scoring altogether in a couple of matches. But there was a couple times they did look flat, which is unfortunate. But we're also skipping ahead multiple days at a time. Like, we just looked at day 1, day 2, and day 3 or day 1 and day 2 at different phases. So I'm just going upper bracket to lower bracket because it's easier. Jumping down to the lower rounds, I mentioned Space Station Gaming and Envy both losing right away. So our first elimination match of the tournament is those two. That's how we started the second day. And Envy, in the middle of game 2, I think it was, I'd have to go check my notes. We were listening to player comms, and Mist says, let's just beat them at their own game, which meant be super aggressive and demo. And it started working really well. And Envy carries that type of playstyle through the rest of the tournament. Very fast, very aggressive, in your face, but still not afraid to play a bunker kind of style where they sit back, defense, draw you in, and then counterattack you and punish you really heavily. Envy started adjusting their playstyle throughout the tournament whenever was needed, and it was actually quite interesting to watch. The adjustments that they can make, because this is the Envy that was always top 3 type of RLCS form that I was looking for. Now that the hours are up, they have stuff that's coming up. They, Turbo in his interview is saying like, yo, I haven't seen my family in 2 years. We get to go back to Sweden, which RLCS breakdown for the 2021-2022 season will be coming. I'll do a full video series on that, so make sure you guys hit subscribe so you don't miss out on that series if you guys want to stay up to date on everything. But Turbo talking about, yeah, I get to go, see my family. We got to grind. We got stuff to do. So Envy looking good. On the other side, Rogue versus Sonics, probably the battle of the worst team, which is unfortunate to say. Right now, Rogue they're having to make some big adjustments. Now that first killer is no longer there, it is a totally different style of play that they're having to adjust to. Corrupted G, their coach, Gabe, is a wonderful person. They'll figure something out. It's just going to take some time. I will say Sonics' base level with Andy T. Carell and ZPS did look pretty solid. I also called out and said, hey, ZPS is going to have to step up big, which he does. He has a really solid game to kind of be the MVP for that series. Just like the Space Station Envy dropping to the lowers end, we get another one, which is G2 versus Envy. And Envy wins again. Same thing, just super fast, super aggressive in the face of G2. And then their defense is just frustrating. It's so annoying to play against. It's actually really exciting to watch how they continue to do what they do. On the other side of things, FaZe Clan versus Sonics. FaZe Clan is just a better team, even with Dapper being the sub. They end up pushing through. And then we get into the lower bracket semifinals where Envy goes against FaZe Clan. And it goes all the way to 7. And Envy closes it out. A couple big moments in this game based on the approach. This one really felt like if FaZe has their full roster and is playing the way they are, things might be different. I think this was also the one where there was a moment where Dapper had the ball go into the midfield, and he had the ball, and there was a player in front of him. The player could have demoed that goalie in net, and he could have put a shot on target, and I think they would have taken the victory with it. But one of those things where you're so busy trying to pass and feed the rock to your 2-star players, like some of those things are unfortunate. So kind of in hindsight, but a lot of really exciting things between that series. The fact that it went to 7 is, I think, a testament to how good FaZe is. Even with Dapper on the roster. So FaZe hopefully picks up Dapper as a sub because they looked really good with him. We then get to the lower bracket final, Envy versus Energy, and I just want to put this out there for everybody. Envy loses to FaZe Clan right away. They then beat Space Station, they beat G2, rematch against FaZe, and then they end up beating Energy here and then going to the grand finals. They literally played the top 6 teams, or the top 5 teams in North America, back to back every single series. They had the toughest gauntlet of matches to get to the grand final, and somehow they do it. So if they kept winning, I was like, yeah, there's no way they're not going to win this whole thing, and they absolutely crush it. So Envy versus Energy, really good series. Envy just looked like the better team, being completely honest, but Energy does put up a really good fight. It's just Envy, with the way they were playing, they were just on the money. Reminiscent to the Brawl 10K, when you just kind of saw, you're like, yeah, they're going to close it out at some point. We then go to the grand finals, which again, another best of set. You have to win 2 best of 7s first. And fun fact in this one, as I mentioned, I have been up for 36 hours, now at 36 hours and 42 minutes as of right now. When this series started, it was roughly 2 hours away from when I needed to be in a car headed to the airport so I could get my flight on time, so I could get through customs and do all the COVID testing stuff. Yeah, so I was rooting very heavily for whichever team took the first series because I needed it to be a 2-0 so I didn't miss my flights. First series goes to 7 and it goes the distance, and I'm just like, dude, I don't even know if I'm gonna get my flights, even if this other one doesn't go. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make my stuff on time. And this led to a really fun banter between myself and the host, F-Dot, where we're screaming and yelling at each other. He's rooting for the other team. The entire tournament production, because betting is pretty popular in Ukraine, all those guys were like betting on matches, so all the production was getting behind it and hooping and hollering and stuff. But me and F-Dot were yelling at each other backstage anytime one of our teams. I was going for Envy, he was going for Shopify Rebellion, just because he's a and wanted to watch me suffer. But we had a lot of fun. So there should be some photos or videos possibly coming out in the future of us yelling at each other with some pretty good banter. But Shopify Rebellion put up a really good fight. Even though it is a 2-0 in the set, it is still really close series back and forth the entire time. Turbo has a clutch hat trick in the very last game of the first series to close it out there, which is what he does. He brings Turbo to Champions Field and he dominates. A couple of overtimes in both series. Like really good stuff here from Envy. But a lot of it just kind of feels like a blur. I was just sitting and enjoying it in the moment, being a fan of the game. I was sitting in the green room, I was sipping on something to keep me awake and just enjoying the matches, being a fan of the game. And I think that was probably the best thing as I kind of come to a final thoughts on this entire tournament. First and foremost, shout outs to WePlay for bringing me out as an analyst. I hope I kept you guys entertained and you guys enjoyed me being back on a desk for a major tournament. $100,000 total, 50K for both regions. And it was just fun. It was fun to go out, be a fan of the game, and watch high-level Rocket League in this kind of environment. You know, it's the biggest offseason tournament. We've got less than a month now headed into the next season. So it was a fun way to basically kick off like, yo, preseason's about to be over. Let's get into the RLCS for the next season. So massive shout outs to WePlay. Like I mentioned, all of this stuff, all the fancy graphics, all the crazy things they did, costumes that we wore. I still have my shirt that I was wearing. Let me take that home. All that stuff was done in 3 weeks time, which is unbelievable to me that they were able to do that. They also adjusted a lot of things on the fly that we told them, and were just willing to take effort. So for WePlay's first tournaments for Rocket League coming into the scene, I think they did an incredible job. I hope you guys also enjoyed it. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments down below thoughts, questions, opinions, ideas. I'll send them a feedback form and things that I personally noticed, but if there's certain things that you guys liked and disliked about the tournament, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to let them know as well, because that feedback will definitely go into hopefully another tournament in the future, to making sure it's even bigger and better than the last time. But seriously, shout outs to WePlay. Shout outs to you guys for putting up with my really terrible videos this past week. Shout outs to Wojtek, the editor, constantly putting in the work to make sure that those videos actually end up happening, because he did all the title graphics, all the thumbnail stuff, and made it possible. So again, shouts to everybody behind the scenes that make this stuff work. But I am gonna go sleep like a dead person for like the next 12 plus hours, and I'm looking forward to it. But before I do that, if you guys do enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. Together, let's hit 50,000 subs by the end of this year, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.